Welcome back from the courts. Mark McKenzie, 32 years old, is already serving a 40-year sentence for the murder of Leslie Green in Yellow Elder back in March of 2017, and now will be sentenced for a second murder. He returns to court on October 12th to be sentenced for the murder of Carlos Adderley Jr. McKenzie appeared before Justice Franklin Williams, KC, on Thursday for a sentencing hearing. McKenzie has denied killing Adderley, who he described as a childhood friend. Reports say Adderley was on a basketball court near a church in Blue Hills Estate when a gunman identified by a witness as McKenzie shot him multiple times. This was on January 17, 2017. Adderley was killed months before he was scheduled to graduate from the University of the Bahamas with a degree in mechanical engineering. Prosecutors have suggested a sentence of 40 to 50 years for this second murder. Meanwhile, the man accused of killing Omar Davis Jr. and discarding his body was denied bail on Thursday. Normand Toussaint, 21 years old, of Orchard Lane off Mackey Street, is accused of killing his 20-year-old friend and after the murder allegedly placing Davis's body in bags which he put in the trunk of Davis's car that was later found abandoned in bushes near the Caribbean liquor store on East Avenue in Centerville, where Toussaint worked. Davis's decomposing body was found in the car on August 16, 2022. Toussaint, who does not have Bahamian citizenship, represented himself at his bail hearing before Justice Gregory Hilton. A 49-year-old man was shot to the arm late Wednesday night while patronizing a food vendor in a Haitian community in eastern New Providence, and now police are searching for the culprits. Police say the victim was approached by two males, one of whom produced a firearm and shot him to the left arm. The man was taken to hospital in a private vehicle for further medical care. Police are actively investigating and appealing to members of the public with any information on this incident to contact the police by calling the CID or the Crime Stoppers anonymously at 328-TIPS, 328-8477. In what you may call a battle between party chairmen, Progressive Liberal Party Chairman Fred Mitchell is responding to scathing comments made against the Davis administration this week by Free National Movement Chairman Dr. Dwayne Sands. In the first of two voice recordings released this week, and following reports that Director of Immigration Keturah Ferguson was forced to retire, Dr. Sands produced a list of at least a half-dozen female civil servants he says have been forced to retire in recent months. He accused the Davis administration and, by extension, the Progressive Liberal Party of victimizing women in the public service. Chairman Mitchell responded to those allegations with the following.
Now, don't you just love it? Dr. Dwayne Sands, who's now the chairman of the F&M, judicially condemned by 3 courts for interfering in the Frank Smith case. Fired for breaking the pandemic rules, lost his seat in the House, now has so much to say about everything. He claims the PLP is attacking women in the public service because some women happen to be retiring from the service. What a whole lot of codswallop and rubbish. When all those policemen were sent home and fired by Hubert Minnis, his prime minister, Dwayne Sands didn't say anything. The F&M wasn't attacking men then in the public service. In fact, Dwayne Sands didn't say a damn thing. In fact, not one word to say. He was as silent as a lamb to the slaughter.
Dr. Sands was also critical of the Davis administration over its decision to discontinue both the weekly press briefing and the weekly Office of the Prime Minister press briefing, and instead combining them, the 2 weekly meetings, into one meeting. He accused the Davis administration of engaging in old-school PLP censorship. This, too, did not sit well with the PLP chairman.
Now, the other comment he made is decrying the change in the format of press briefings by the OPM. Well, let me tell you this. The press still has access to any minister anytime in a free country. They don't need a press briefing at OPM to get some gotcha moment. But the press should also know that even though they can ask questions, no one has an obligation to answer them. Okay? So, Dwayne Sands, go sit down and shut up. Stop talking foolishness.
Chairman Mitchell on Wednesday also shared his thoughts on the educational meeting held by the Freeport Licensing Association on the Hawksbill Creek Agreement. Many of the Freeport licensees have expressed concerns over the public spate between the Grand Bahama Port Authority and the government over the development or lack of development of the second city. Mr. Mitchell is suggesting the organizers of that meeting were misguided.
Now, there was that so-called educational meeting of the Grand Bahama licensees on Monday evening in Freeport. The sad thing is, as a matter of law, the disposition of the shares of the Grand Bahama Port Authority and the policy on the Hawksbill Creek Agreement is a matter between the government and the port, not the licensees. So the entire meeting was simply based on a false premise.
Mr. Mitchell, who is also Minister of Foreign Affairs, had earlier warned the Freeport licensees not to be used for personal gain by others who may not have the best interest of Freeport at heart. Botswana Minister of Agriculture Fidelis Malau and Minister of Local Government and Rural Development Gosia Altwets they had a meeting with the Bahamas outgoing Minister of Agriculture Clay Sweeting and new Minister Jomo Campbell, along with senior government officials representing a number of agencies, including PAIC, BAMSI, the Department of Agriculture, and the Department of Marine Resources. During the event held Wednesday at the Ministry of Agriculture's headquarters on East Bay Street, topics of mutual interest were held, including poultry and egg production, beef and pineapple production, along with food safety. The ministers from Botswana were in the Bahamas for an official state visit. The Republic of Botswana gained independence from the British in 1966 and has since transformed itself from one of the poorest countries in the world to a middle-income country. Its mining of diamonds has fueled much of its economic expansion, while tourism also a main pillar of the economy in Botswana. And finally, the Bahamas Olympic Committee will stage its election of officers on Saturday, September 16th, with incumbent President Romel Fish-Knowles expected to return as president unopposed. It would be his second four-year term as leader of the most prestigious sporting body in the country. The elections will take place at the Royal Bahamas Police Force headquarters following the annual general meeting. Among the nominees, incumbent Secretary General Deron Donaldson and Treasurer Dorian Roach, they will also be unopposed. The Bahamas Olympic Committee oversees teams that represent the Bahamas at the Olympic Games, Central American and Caribbean Games, the Pan American Games, and the Commonwealth Games. Following the elections, much of the BOC's focus will be on assembling a team to represent the Bahamas at the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. And that'll do it for your JCN Evening News. Once again, it is a pleasure to have you join us. I'm Jcn Saunders.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.